Why is your son's name on the invitation? This is a family wedding. My sister ripped my RSVP. My son whispered, "It's okay, Dad." I patted his head, smiled at my sister. "You're right. January 1st, I canceled the $3,275 per month loan I'd been giving them for 6 years. Well, let's go. Why is your son's name on the invitation? This is a family wedding." My sister said it like she'd found a cockroach in her soup. We were standing at my parents' dining table, RSVP card spread out next to the bowl of sad grocery store apples. My 8-year-old son Elio was at the end of the table, carefully lining up the gold pens because he likes things straight and neat. My sister Maribel held up our RSVP card between 2 fingers. "Rowan Hale +1, she said. "That was obviously a mistake. You were supposed to put just you. We can't add random kids. It messes with the seating chart." She didn't lower her voice. My mother didn't say anything. She just turned back to her list, pretending to be busy. Elio froze, his hand still on the pen. I felt that old heat climb up my neck. But I was tired. Tired from dinner service the night before. Tired from the flight in that morning. Tired from 6 years of pretending my family saw my son as more than an inconvenience attached to their personal ATM. "I wrote his name because he's my son," I said. "And your nephew." Maribel rolled her eyes. "This is a family wedding," she repeated louder. "Not some daycare. It's adults only, except for kids who are actually family, obviously." Elio looked up at me. His eyes did that flicker thing they do when he's trying not to cry in public. Then Maribel did it. She held my RSVP over the table, ripped it clean in half, and dropped the pieces into the trash can by her feet. "There," she said. "Fix." Elio's mouth trembled just once. He swallowed hard and whispered so quietly I almost missed it. "It's okay, Dad." I heard it like a shout. I patted his head, kept my voice steady, and smiled right at my sister. "You're right," I said. "It is a family wedding." And in that moment, I knew I wouldn't be going. And I knew something much bigger than a party had just ended. My name is Rowan Hale. I'm 41 years old, the executive chef of a small Michelin star restaurant in Evanston, Illinois. I work nights, weekends, holidays. I sign my name on tasting menus that cost more than my first car. People plan anniversaries around my food, propose over my desserts, send me long emails about how my risotto changed their life. My family doesn't care about any of that. To them, I'm the one who made it, which is just another way of saying the one they can ask for money. I've been a single dad since Elio was 2. His mother left when he was a baby. No big dramatic story. Just a slow fade out and then silence. I work. I raise my kid. I try to be there for every school concert, even if I go straight from the past to the auditorium smelling like garlic and smoke. My parents live in the suburbs. My younger sister Maribel lives 10 minutes from them. She's been engaged 3 times. This wedding was number 2. Technically, they called it her fresh start. They also called my monthly transfers a temporary loan. Temporary for 6 years. Every month on the first, $3,275 left my account and landed in theirs. It started when my father lost his job at 60 after refusing to learn any new software. Mortgage behind. Car payments late. Utilities stacking up. I was finally making real money at the restaurant. My mother called me crying. Said they'd lose the house. "I'll cover it for a few months," I said. "Just until Dad figures things out." We signed papers. Proper loan agreement. Interest. Repayment schedule. All of it. My father laughed through the whole thing like it was a cute game. "You know we'd never screw you over, son." 6 months turned into a year. Then 2. Then Maribel decided she wanted to redo her kitchen. And somehow the monthly loan started covering family expenses. New appliances. Deck. My parents' cruise. My mother's dental work. My father's emergency golf club membership. Every time I tried to slow it down, there was a new crisis. The heat went out. Car died. The grandkids needed private school. The number stayed at $3,275 because that's what covered the mortgage. plus whatever Maribel had tacked on that year. It was easier to keep paying than to listen to the guilt. Meanwhile, they forgot Elio's birthday twice. They spelled his name wrong on every card they did send. They never took him for a weekend. Never came to a school play. They loved being grandparents in theory. In practice, it meant pointing to photos of my nephews on Facebook and talking about the little ones. Like Elio was a neighbor kid who happened to be standing in the frame. I kept telling myself it would change once things stabilized, once the house was paid down, once the wedding was over. I ignored how my son always ended up at the folding card table with the spare chairs. How he never got his own stocking at Christmas. Just a little bag of candy taped to mine. How my mother introduced him as Rowan's boy to her friends. Never our grandson. I kept thinking if I keep showing up, they'll eventually see him. They saw me. They saw my money. They saw everything except him. The wedding was supposed to be a big reset. New husband for Maribel. New leaf for the family. She'd found a guy named Grant who worked in corporate something. They set the date for March, right after Valentine's Day, right before our spring menu change. Bad timing for me, but I blocked 3 days off anyway. Rehearsal, dinner, wedding day, after party. Of course, Elio was invited. Maribel had said over the phone months before. He'll be our ring bearer. We'll get him a mini tux. It'll be cute. I'd actually been excited. Elio had never been in a wedding before. He started practicing walking slowly across our tiny living room, holding an imaginary pillow. Then the invitation arrived. It was fancy. Thick cardstock. Gold foil. The kind of envelope you feel bad throwing away. Addressed to Mr. Rowan Hale. Noan family. Noan son. Inside, the RSVP line had a pre-printed underscore seats reserved in your honor. Next to my name, someone had written a single one in black ink. I thought it was a mistake. Detail missed. I wrote in 2 anyway. Under names of guests attending, I wrote Rowan and Elio Hale. I even added a little smiley face like an idiot. Fast forward to the scene at the table. To my sister ripping the card in half. To Elio whispering, "It's okay, Dad." It wasn't okay. Maribel dropped into a chair, already scrolling her phone. "You can still come," she said. "Just come alone. Adult night out. It's not like he'd remember it anyway." "He will," I said. "He remembers everything." My father wandered in from the living room carrying his beer. "What's going on?" "Nothing," Maribel said quickly. Rowan misunderstood the invitation. He wanted to bring Elio. "You know we don't have space for extras." Extras. I looked at my parents. My mother didn't meet my eyes. My father shrugged. "Weddings are expensive. You know that." I almost laughed. Between the venue, dress, and photographer, I'd already quietly covered nearly $14,200. On top of my usual $3,275 a month, I'd paid the deposit on the reception hall, helped with catering, and sent a check for the DJ when Maribel complained that Grant's family wasn't helping at all. And now my son was an extra. I swallowed hard and forced myself to stay calm. "So just to be clear," I said, "you want my money at the wedding. You just don't want my child." Maribel rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic. Just numbers. We already set the seating. If we add Elio, someone has to move. And the other kids are all in the wedding party," she added. "So it's different." Elio, still at the end of the table, picked up one of the gold pens and quietly put it back in the box. His shoulders were hunched. That kid posture that says, "If I'm small enough, maybe nobody will notice me." My mother finally spoke. "Sweetheart," she said to me, not him. "It's just one night. You and Elio have lots of time together. Maribel only gets one wedding." Second, I thought. Second wedding. I didn't say it. Instead, I felt something inside me stop. Like a burner being turned off. Click. "Got it," I said. "Thanks for clearing that up." I touched Elio's shoulder. "Come on, buddy. We're heading out." Maribel blinked. "You're leaving right now. Over this." Elio looked up at me quickly, panicked. like he didn't want to be the reason. "It's okay, Dad," he whispered again. "You can go without me. I don't mind." That broke me more than anything they'd said. I crouched down so we were eye to eye. "I'm not going anywhere, you're not welcome," I told him. "Not anymore." He gave a tiny nod. Tried to smile. Failed. I stood, grabbed my coat, and looked at my parents and my sister one last time. "You guys enjoy your family wedding," I said. "Really? You've made it very clear who counts. No yelling. No drama. Just that." They stared at me like I'd ruined everything. Maybe I had. But they started it when they erased my kid. The wedding went on without us. I know because I saw the photos. A cousin sent me one out of sheer spite for my sister. Maribel in white lace. Grant in his tux. The other nieces and nephews lined up like a children's clothing catalog. Captions about family only and the people who matter most. Elio saw one picture on my phone before I could close it. His face went still. He didn't ask why we weren't there. He just went to his room and started building a Lego restaurant. When I peeked in, he named it Elio and Dad's. No grandparents. No aunts. The day after the wedding, my mother left me a voicemail. "You embarrassed your sister," she said. "People noticed you weren't there. They asked questions. We told them you had an emergency at the restaurant, so you're welcome. But really, Rowan, you have to stop making everything about Elio. You chose to have a child. That doesn't mean the whole family has to rearrange their lives around him." The whole family. The people I'd been quietly funding. The Michelin star had changed my professional life. It hadn't changed my student loans, my rent, or the constant repairs in my tiny apartment. But it meant my nights were booked out months in advance. It meant each month I had to choose. Fix the oven door in my own kitchen or pay another $3,275 to people who thought my son was optional. I'd done the math a few weeks earlier, before the invitation even showed up. 6 years. $3,275 a month. 12 months a year. $3,275 times 12 equals $39,300 a year. Times 6 years equals $235,800. Almost $250,000. $250,000 to people who wouldn't put my kid's name on an envelope. I listened to my mother's voicemail twice. Then I played it on speaker while I scraped burned cheese off a hotel pan at the restaurant. Iris, my sous chef, looked up from inventory. "You good?" she asked. Shrug. "Just my family reminding me I'm an idiot." She dried her hands, took my phone and listened. Her face went flat. "Rowan," she said, "why are you still paying for them?" "Because they're my parents," I said automatically. "Because they needed help. Because they like your money more than your kid," she cut in. "I've heard enough stories to know that's true." I didn't answer. 'Cause she was right. That night, after dinner service, I sat alone in my tiny office at the back of the kitchen. Smelled like onions and printer toner. I opened my banking app. There was in black and white. Next scheduled transfer. January 1st. $3,275. Auto repeat, yes. I stared at that line for a long time. Elio was asleep at home, curled up with the stuffed fox he pretends he doesn't need anymore. His backpack was on the floor by the door, zipper half open. His school party invitation peeking out. Every kid in his class was invited. The teacher had written, "Siblings welcome." No one had asked whether he counted. That was the difference. I thought about the RSVP ripped in half. About my sister's voice saying, "This is a family wedding." About Elio whispering, "It's okay, Dad," like he was the problem. I thought about $250,000. And about the next 6 years. My finger hovered over the screen. Then I did it. On January 1st, I canceled the $3,275 per month loan I'd been giving them for 6 years. One tap to turn off auto transfer. One more to move the entire emergency fund I'd kept in the joint account to a new account with just my name on it. Confirmation popped up. Recurring transfer canceled. Effective immediately. I took a screenshot and emailed it to myself. Then I printed a copy and slid it into a folder labeled Simply Boundaries. They noticed fast. January 3rd, 9:12 a.m. My phone lit up with a call from my father. I let it go to voicemail. Hey son, he said. Bank called. Looks like there was some glitch with the transfer this month. Might want to check that. We've got the mortgage auto-drafted on the 15th. So, yeah, call me. No mention of Elio. No mention of the wedding. January 4th. My mother texted. Hey sweetheart, the account came up short. Probably just a mistake with the holidays. Can you fix it today? We already paid deposits for the spring break trip with the kids. Spring break. The trip I was paying for. I set the phone down and made Elio pancakes shaped like stars. He drowned them in maple syrup and told me about a book they were reading in class. He asked if we could maybe go to the lake in the summer. Just us. Not a big trip. We can do that, I said. We can do a lot of that this year. I didn't answer my parents. January 5th, Maribel called 6 times. I picked up on the 7th call because I was in the walk-in and didn't want my line cooks hearing the voicemail. What is wrong with you? She snapped. No hello. Mom said the money didn't come through. Are you punishing us because you threw a tantrum about the wedding? I laughed once. You ripped up my RSVP in front of my son, I said. You told him he wasn't family. Oh my God, you are so dramatic, she said. He's a kid. He'll forget. We had limited seats. You had unlimited access to my bank account, I said. You want family only. You got it. My money is staying with my family. So mom and dad aren't your family now, she shot back. After everything they did for you. Like what? Raising me. Feeding me when I was a kid. That's called parenting, not an investment with guaranteed returns. I didn't say it. I'm not your backup bank, Maribel, I said. Not anymore. She went quiet. If you do this, she said finally, her voice tight, don't expect us to be there for you when you need us. I thought about every bill I'd paid. When have you ever been? Yes. Then I hung up. I made a rule right then. I would only repeat one sentence from now on. I'm not funding a family my son isn't part of. That was it. No defending. No explaining. No justifying. They didn't take it well. The group chat turned into a guilt machine. We're your parents. After everything we sacrificed. Your father's blood pressure is up. Do you want to be responsible if something happens? They switched to email. They signed loan papers in good faith, they said. They paid back exactly $0. I forwarded everything into my boundaries folder. Then into another labeled lawyer, just in case. The only person who didn't harass me was my older brother Callum. He lives 2 states away. Keeps his head down. He called one night after service. I heard about the wedding, he said. And the money. I'm sure you heard their version. I heard enough of yours over the years, he said. We stopped sending them money last year. Not for anything big. We just realized they never talk to the kids unless they want something. That mattered more than he knew. In February, Mom texted again. Bank is threatening foreclosure. We need help now. Can you at least send something? Just until we sell the boat. The boat. The one they bought 3 years into the temporary loan because Dad said he deserves something nice in retirement. Type slowly. I'm sorry you're struggling. I'm not sending more money. She replied instantly. So you want us homeless? I deleted 3 drafts and sent nothing. A day later, Iris bumped my shoulder in prep. They still pushing. Apparently I'm making them homeless. She raised an eyebrow. Or they did when they spent your loan on boats and cruises. You pause. If Elio were grown and sending thousands a month to people who treated his kid like an extra, what would you tell him? Stop, I said immediately. And take his kids somewhere they matter. She smiled. Then listen to yourself, chef. So I did. I booked a tiny cabin by the lake for the week of what would have been their spring break trip. Bunk beds, sad kitchenette. Water view Elio thought was the best thing he'd ever seen. We get the whole week, he asked. Whole week, I said. Just you and me. No tuxes, he asked. No assigned seats. He laughed. While Maribel posted photos of choreographed dances, Elio and I ate grilled cheese on a dock. "This is better than a wedding," he said. He was right. The foreclosure never happened. My parents sold the boat, refinanced the house, cut their cable package. They didn't die. They just lived within their means. In April, Maribel emailed. Subject: Family contribution fairness. She wanted $11,900 for wedding deposits. I didn't respond. I changed my emergency contact at the restaurant. Changed my will. Everything to Elio. A small fund for Callum's kids. Nothing for Maribel. Nothing for my parents. It wasn't revenge. It was math. The first time I saw my parents after that was Father's Day. They showed up at the restaurant without a reservation. I didn't let them in. Dad said, "We need to talk. It's about family." Mom said, "It's about Elio." "You didn't want him at the wedding," I said. "You called him an extra." Dad whispered, "You're letting that boy ruin this family." I didn't raise my voice. "I'm not funding a family my son isn't part of," I said. "And I'm not handing him to people who think he's a problem." I had them escorted out. The closure didn't come in one big scene. Came in small choices. We made our own traditions. On New Year's Eve, Elio set place cards. Julio, Iris, Victor, Uncle Callum. 2 blank spots for people who might join our family later. No seats for people who never showed up. When we toasted, I raised my glass and thanked the year I finally stopped being everyone else's wallet.